All right, Carrie.
All right, let's see how this, okay, it did get quieter, so that's good. All right, everyone. My name is Carrie Mocyk. I'm one of the instructional designers on campus, and today we're just going to kind of walk through Brightspace. And this session is meant for anyone that might be new to the campus, wants a little refresher, wants to learn a little bit more about the system. So we're just going to kind of look around at different things. So I'm logged in as a faculty member, and on this front of the page here, I have the Oswego logo in my, on the left side here. This title is SUNY Oswego. This is letting me know that we're on the institution page, because we have the institution page and we have the course page. Along in here, we have the dots that brings you to the list of different courses. So any of your courses that you teach, you could find in here. A nice little feature inside of Brightspace is if I want to make sure that this course always shows up on top, I can pin it. And from this point on, it will, I should have chosen a different one. I could choose this course, pin it, and from this point on, it would eventually go up to the top. So that is a nice little feature for your current semester, whatever you're working on. If you have multiple courses in there, you could pin them to the top. This is how to get to the course mail. And these are different alerts, updates that you have if there's any grading, anything like that. Over in here, these are the different settings that you could set up for your core, for you in particular. One of the things that you would want to know about this section is the ability to, let's see what we have here. I don't know. Oops, I apologize. It's under my name. The profile allows you to add a picture. The notifications can be really important because if you get too many notifications, you could set it up to have, you know, by day or by week or something along that line. So if you're trying to customize what you see, what you get as far as notification goes, this is the section that you would go to for that. Along the top, you'll know that we're in the institution page because it really has nothing to do with an actual course, but there are some helpful tools in here if you work with Starfish or the Quickly course tools. Oswego resources, we've got the calendar, accessibility services, whole bunch of different websites to take you to. Brightspace resources, this is helpful. They have the Learn ones, they have videos, instructors, that written instructions, and then also video instructions. And Discover, we won't focus on, but that could come into play down a few years down the road, I guess. Quick Eval from the institution page, if you are teaching, allows you to see all four of, or however many courses you're teaching. It would allow you to grade from this page, looking at all of your courses together. So that is the institution page. There's some help, support, SUNY online support. Let's get into a course. Okay. All right, so if you look, you'll notice that everything's a little bit different. If you want to get back to the home page, you just click on the Oswego and it will take you back to the institution page. But now I'm inside my course. I can see my virtual table of contents, dividing out the different modules within my course. With my calendar updates, if there was any grading, you'd get notification over here. And if we go to content, this is where the students are going to be interacting with materials. This is a breakdown of the table of contents, the different modules within here. If you wanted to add a module, you could add one along on the bottom here. Just by typing it in, it'll open into a new module. If you need to move things around, you can just grab a hold of those dots and move them up and down as you'd like. If you have one that you need to delete, you can go to the module. So like right now I'm in module 1. If I needed to delete it, I could delete the module from there. Be very careful with that because whatever's in that module is what you'll delete. So use that sparingly. Make sure it's empty, I guess. And from here, we have the upload create. Now this gets a little confusing because you see how we're in module 1 demo, then we have icebreaker activities. So this is kind of icebreaker activities is inside of module 1. So if I want something to show up in just module 1, I want to make sure that I upload create from here. If I wanted it to be part of the icebreaker activities, I'd want to upload create from here. The good news is if you put it in the wrong spot, it's pretty easy to move around. So if I upload create, if I were to create a file, I'll just call this a test. And I can save and close here. Oops, I already did that. I pulled that trick once before. So change the title. Now, right now I can't see it. What's happened is it's actually at the bottom of my module. So I would have to find it here. And this is where, like, if you're adding content along the way, knowing how to move these from location to location, and it's really just holding down the left mouse to move it up to where you want it. I'll put it up at the very top. So this is all the side of things that students are working in. But let's say I wanted to add a little description to something like this. I can edit the properties in place. And I could write, you know, this is where to get started. If I wanted to add any dates to it of any types of restrictions, I could add that here too. So depending on where you are, sometimes you have to edit the properties in place, and sometimes you need to, you'll actually be able to see it. So in this upload create, going back to this, I just showed you how to create a file, but you can upload videos and different files. This would be more like attachments. So if you were uploading an attachment from your computer, you could just grab
Carrie.
it. Go ahead.
Real quick, we actually would ask that you don't upload videos, that you use the Panopto system.
Panopto. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No
You're right.
problem.
So yes, from here, we have the upload files and the create a file. And the create a file is just that blank page. If you are to upload videos, we have this insert stuff you would create a page and then go to insert stuff. And you can find your Panopto. It'll bring you to your Panopto videos through this link here. Okay. All right, and one more thing, if you are familiar with using Panopto before, you may have to add a Panopto link into your course so that it works. And there are instructions for that on our DLE website, but you could also find it by going to existing activities. And let me just make sure, yeah. External learning tools. And this is really just it just ties Panopto to your course. So you just do this the one time and it will, you'll be able to access your videos from that point. And then the other thing that's worth showing, just
Sorry,
kind of, go ahead, Doug.
If you do that, though, generally you will want to hide that link from students. Otherwise, they'll be able to access all the videos related to the particular course. And usually it's better for the videos to be located in the module with the material that they're related to. So just something to keep in mind. That link will give you access to all your Panopto videos in the Panopto interface. But usually you want to retain that for yourself, not your students.
That is very true. So it's depending on how you're using or what you're doing with the course. But right now I have Panopto. I've gone through and I created a, this is that link that I was just talking about. So I went to existing activities, went to external learning tools, and I created this. From here, you can hide it from here. You could hide it from here. Just make it so that it's not visible to students, because essentially this is your folder into Panopto. So if you've been using Panopto, that is, you have your folder, but then you also deploy it into your content so that the students can interact with it. You wouldn't necessarily share with them the folder, which is what Doug was talking about. All right, so that is the upload create. This existing activities. If you've created a discussion someplace else, your quizzes, any of those type of things, this is where you could pull them. So if I go to existing activities, quizzes, and I grab this intellectual integrity quiz, I now have that in here. You can see that this is in the wrong folder, so I could move that if I needed to just by grabbing it. Okay, so across the top, we've got course home. It brings you to the home page here. We have content. This is where the students are interacting with the materials. And if there was any groups, this course progress across the top here has the class progress. And this is a situation where the students can see how they're doing. So for the faculty view, you get one extra screen than what the students see. But once I click into the student's name, this view becomes exactly what the students are seeing. So this is a progress summary. It's exactly that. It's a summary. It doesn't necessarily share all of the information about how what the students have for grades and also feedback. If you'd like to know how they're actually, if the students would like to see their grades, or if they can't find feedback, you always send them to this. If for them, it's going to be class progress or my progress, I think it's called. But if I go into quizzes here, this one had some feedback, or it's showing the attempt. If there was feedback, it also would be there. I don't know if you can see that pop up. It just says that your quiz has been successfully submitted. But if students are saying that they can't find feedback or grades or any information, you want to send them to this page here and tell them to use the left toolbar to get to the different assessments. So here's a perfect one. The sample discussion, I had a rubric in there, told them it was good work. If they want to go back to the actual post, they can do that. Any questions about that? I kind of went around in a circle a little bit there.
I have a question. How do you bring in a publisher's quiz?
It depends on, oh, let's see.
Yeah, it'll depend on the publisher.
Yeah.
They usually will, on what publisher they use. The publisher will usually give you specific instructions on how to do it. But it would either be through course administration and using basically the import function there, or else it would be done from the quiz creation tool, which also has an import option. And which one you use just depends on the publisher.
So I was able to import the quizzes into my Brightspace shell, but now I want to select certain quizzes for the students to do, but I can't get the button that says start quiz to show up for them.
For them
So
or
I have
for
the
you?
quiz, I have a due date, but this quiz doesn't show up for the student.
Okay, we'll be getting to that in a sec, I think. Carrie, I think this is the issue that in our interface students don't see course activities, so the quizzes have to be deployed, which I'm presuming is going to be the next thing you talk about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yep,
No
if
problem.
this doesn't answer your question, though, we can certainly revisit it.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so that is a really important note. Our toolbar across the top here is definitely different than what the students see. So we have course progress. For the students, it's my progress or class progress or something like that. And the course tools, this is meant for us, you know, as faculty teaching. And so they can't go to assignments or discussions or quizzes. Where they're where they need to interact with it is going to be within content. So even in Blackboard, I hate using that word these days, but even inside of Blackboard, you would create a quiz and then you would link it into your module. And so the concept is still the same. You would go to, in here, it's quizzes. You would create your quiz, you know, do new quiz or pull from the question library, however it's going to be set up. And then when everything's all set up here, you go back over to content and you deploy the quiz. So I'm going to find quiz. It's an existing activity because it's already been created. And I'm just going to find whatever quiz it was and add it into the content. So this is where students are going to be going to actually take the assessment. And it all comes down to their view isn't the same as what we see because we have different use cases.
And our interface is also different from what some other SUNYs use and other institutions. Some have decided to leave that open. We decided not to because of a variety of issues. There are some back ways into that tool system, though, so always hide anything that you're not working on. Make sure you set release dates or make sure you manually hide anything in those sub areas, so quizzes, homework assignments, things like that, just to ensure that students can't get access to something you don't want them to see.
Okay, so once the quiz is there in content, how do the students start the quiz? Right, so I have all of my quizzes loaded in with the date that they're due. But when they click on that, like test example, where do they start it? How do they do it?
They're supposed to.
Okay, this start quiz button, it doesn't show up. And so Kathi Dutton was telling me it's because I have to remove restrictions or something, unclick a restrictions button.
They're probably because yes, there are multiple ways to make that happen. So it's probably one of the restrictions is overriding what you're trying to accomplish. So that would be the first place I would go, is look at the restrictions and find out if something, you know, is just overriding what you were trying to accomplish. Like, let's say the due date is after the availability date or something like that.
So what you're going to want to do is drop into our open Zoom office hours, and one of us can help you one-on-one. We have them every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I just posted a link in the text comments So yeah, for that, at this point, we'd have to take a direct look at it, and then we can pretty quickly tell you exactly what's causing your problem.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yep.
All right, so I went to course tools and to assignments. If I'm creating a new assignment, I would title it. It automatically is set to not be in the grade book, but in most cases you would want it in the grade book. So as soon as I click on this, it's going to show, I can put my point values in there. The due dates, availability dates, when it's going to open and when it's going to be closed. One thing that it is worth noting is that if the availability dates are there, the students will see that it exists. They just won't be able to click on the link until the point that it is available to them. But it also gives them the time underneath it so that they can see when it opens and closes. Special access is where you can add an accommodation or a situation where you want a student, you know, maybe they're gone for a few days and you want to give them the ability to take the exam. If it's a one-time deal, use special access here. If it's multiple, if it's for the whole semester, I can show you a different place where it applies to all timed, like an accommodation coming from STAR's office.
That only applies to quizzes, though.
For quizzes, okay. Thank you. If it is a group assignment, this is where you could change it to a group assignment. You have the option of a file submission or a text submission. So the text would be the text box, the file would be an upload. And then the evaluation and feedback, if there's a rubric that you wanted to add to it, this is where you could put that in. All right, so then the next one would be the discussions. Now discussions have one interesting thing about it. If we are creating a discussion, we need to start with I guess it depends on if it's a new course or if it's one currently being used. You may need a forum. The forum, in the most simple of terms, is just the title to the discussion. See where'd it go? It's done. So if you notice here, this one that I created under the forum, it's outside of this topic box. So we have, so chapter 1 discussion up here is a forum, and this is the topic. The topic is where the students actually interact with the material, and it's also where you want to spend your attention, your time. Unfortunately, the forums do give you the ability to hide from there, but our best practice is to only make all of your adjustments within the topic. Just leave that, just treat it as a title, and do everything else that needs to be done with your discussion from the topic level. And so what I had done is I edit the topic and I can restrict it from here. Start dates and end dates. I can tie it to the grade book from here. Oops, I would have a new grade item because it's new. And on this page, I could assign point values. So it's
Carrie,
just,
can you go back one step?
yes.
So at the very bottom of this, you'll see an option to allow individual assessment of posts. I wanted to point this out because this was something we got asked about a lot in Blackboard, and it was never a feature there. So I do want to say you can use it, but talk to us, drop to the office hours or something before you do it, because it's a little quirky to set up, and we just don't want you to run into any issues. As with all systems, it's usually easier to fix it up front than try to troubleshoot it on the run. So yes, you can use that, but preferably
Best
with a little bit of guidance.
Yes, yeah. Okay. So just in summary, you have to have a forum in order to create a topic. That's just the way that it is. You treat the forum just as the title, you won't get into any trouble. And I say that because a lot of people try to hide the forum, and then if there's any topics below it, it overrides and will hide it. So all interaction with that the students or you are doing as far as putting rubrics or tying it to the grade book is all within the topic. All right, and then in quizzes could be, there's a variety of different things that we could, bunch of different rabbit holes we could go down with quizzes. But the end result is we can create a new quiz. Going to add point values to it. I'm going to add it to the grade book. And I can put point values in here, the due dates, availability dates, the managed special access, timing. If you want to put any timing on this, you can do that. The paging, it says all questions displayed together on one page, or if you want to do one question at a time, that would come in. You could shuffle the quiz. If you want to allow multiple attempts, that would be along in here. And these settings do come into play depending on what type of quiz you have. Whether you want to auto-publish the attempt results immediately after completion, this would be appropriate if it's a multiple choice or something that doesn't require manual grading. If it's something that you need to manually grade anything, then I would suggest not to check that and then just publish it when you're ready to share the results with the students. And we want to keep that button clicked, synchronized to the gradebook on publish. If there's any type of settings as far as you want them to see only the wrong answers or anything like that, that can be found in this customized quiz results display. Try not to overwhelm you too much because this is a lot of information, but I guess that's kind of what this is a version of a crash course of Brightspace, right?
And just notice when you create a new one, it's automatically hidden. So make sure you unhide it before you save and close it if you intend to deploy it immediately.
Yep. And if you don't do it, you can do it from here. All right. And I guess it's worth talking about. So this ribbon here is telling me that it's tied to the grade book. So we saw that this means hidden. This one is saying that it's tied to the grade book. What are other ones that we look for, Doug?
Those are really the big two. The other one that you'll see are things that means that it's limited to a group. The key means it's got a password on it, which is means that there's special access granted to specific people. I think there's an icon for passwords as well, but we use it so rarely, I don't remember for sure.
Okay. And then the roster is helpful too. If you have a student who is going to get double time on different quizzes, quiz assessments throughout the semester, from the roster, you have the ability to set those restrictions or set that special access at the beginning of the semester, and it's going to stick for the entire semester. So that's what it is. So it's showing that I have an accommodation. But if I go to the student here and I edit the accommodations, I have the ability to say like modify time limit, and I can say extra time. So if the quiz was 60 minutes, they're supposed to get 30 extra minutes. The other option would be choosing this, and you could do the 1.5. All right, but one way or other, however you want to add that, when I save it, I don't, it's set for the semester now. So that is one nice feature. You don't have to do it for every quiz that goes, that students take. All right, so that's done in the roster.
I'll also say the roster is actually my favorite place to use for email. It's easier than the actual email system. You've got the class list option there. You've got the pull downs next to each student that you can email them directly from there. You can multi-select several students, and it'll always send it as a blind carbon copy.
So there's this send email there, and the email class list has this extra pop-up that comes up, but from there, you can email the class list. So that is definitely used for that purpose too.
And when you click send email, it just gives you a little pop-up that you actually write the email. I just don't think we're seeing that because of how the screen share works.
I apologize. Yes, it did come up into an email text box. All right, and then the course admin is definitely worth taking a look at. This is where I'm going to go back to grades, right?
I just wanted to give you a 10-minute warning.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's gone quick. Okay. Oh yeah. Well, we started a little bit late. So, all right, I will make this fast. Course admin, if you are looking for anything within the system, it's probably going to be in course admin. You can create assignments from, clicking in here, it takes you to the assignment page. If you want to copy, if you want to bring in components to your course. So in Blackboard, it used to be you would push your old class into your new class. And in this case, we are in the new class and we pull in old content. It's backwards. So this import, this is where you could find, this is how you do the course copies in there. Manage dates when you're setting up, you have the ability to manage all of your dates from this one side. And we suggest you go by the specific tools. And if you choose assignments, I can apply that filter and I can actually put my availability dates right from this one screen, due dates, all of that stuff. But that is where the knowledge of discussions come into play, because when you click on the discussion one, it's going to give you both the forum and the topic. And that's why it's so important that you do all of that work inside the topic. But that is definitely a really helpful tool. There is ways to make it so that it adjusts by however many days. You just have to kind of play around with it, but it does exist. If you wanted to create a rubric, it could be done here. Groups can be built here. Any other ones, Doug? Oh, course offering information. That's one way to open your course. You could find that. So we always say course tools, course admin, course offering, and you can open your course from that page there.
Yeah, the only other thing would be the course builder, but it's mostly to know that if you need to use the course builder, it's in here, but we don't have time to get into it right now.
Yeah. If you're building a course from scratch, Course Builder can be helpful. If you have existing content, the only thing it's kind of helpful for is looking for things that you've lost.
It's
If you're,
a situationally useful tool.
yeah, yeah. So that's there. All right, the last thing I wanted to show you was the grades. We have 4 different options. We have enter grades, manage grades, the schemes, and the setup wizard. Before you were to teach the course, you'd want to go through the setup wizard. It asks you different questions about how you want things to run. I would definitely refer to the documentation we have for that, or attend the office hours to make sure that you set it up so that it works properly. The grade book in particular, it's really best if you can have it set up properly at the beginning of the semester. Then you might be chasing your tail the whole rest of the semester if it's not set up properly the first time. This is not proper because I've got all of these alerts telling me that there's an issue. But going across the toolbars here, we have the enter grades, which is the screen we're on. And I've got the students' names down here. Manage grades, this is the best page to find out if there's any errors. And I can show you that real quick. So all of these notes here, I could probably get the majority of them to go away by fixing my grade book. And when I'm looking at this, things that I'm paying attention to is, as long as you're not using a publisher content, it might be a little bit different for publishing content, but this association column, if it is a group assignment that is inside of Brightspace and the students are going to submit in Brightspace, this association column should be filled in. Now, if it's a group assignment where it is something, it's an in-person class and they're submitting face-to-face and you're just putting a grade, then this association would be, we'd call it a manual column, meaning you're manually going to enter grades in. So when I'm looking at problems with a grade book, I'm looking at this. So these discussions are tied to the grade book. I can see what the point values are. I want to make sure all of this information matches what I expect it to match. And the same thing with the quizzes. This marks that it is a bonus item. So in another session, we talk more about that, but just so you're aware. One of the things is with this page is to recognize that all of these manipulations have to do with the columns of the grade book. For example, if you decide to hide from users the group assignment, you're not hiding the actual assignment, you're hiding the column to the assignment. So the column in the grade book to the assignment. So that's just something to keep track of. We don't want you to hide from the screen unless it's something that you know what the ramifications of doing so would be, what's going to happen. And there are certain use cases where it's appropriate. If you notice, this is in a darker, there's a little bit of a blue tint to it. And so this is identifying that it's a category. And these are assignments within the category. They're indented in light. And so this one right here, being that it's lined up, it's not indented, it does not belong in a category. So if I wanted to add it to a category, I just edit the column and I can move it to wherever I want. Now, if I were to look at that again, I would see that it's indented. I put it in, yeah, see how it's indented now? So now it's part of the exam category. There's a lot to the grade book that's worth mentioning. So if your grade book, if you want to go through it, we really encourage you to attend the office hours. It's really easy. Faculty really have appreciated the ability to just stop in, ask your question, say, hey, I set up my grade book. Can you look at it? Let me know that it's correct. We have no problem doing that. And we'll run through the different situations that, maybe you're trying to accomplish. Like if there's extra credit, or if there's assignments that you want to know that they completed, but it's not necessarily worth a point value. There are things that we can do to help set up your grade book with you to set it up so it works properly. Things like this right here, I don't use blogs. This is an old exam, all of these kind of things. If I wanted to get rid of them, I can use my more actions and I can delete. But again, we'll talk more about that in another session. I'm just going to quickly look through my notes because I kind of derailed a little bit. See if there's anything that I missed. Grading would be the last one. So there's a couple different ways to go about grading. I would say if I was just starting out, I would stick to the basics of what I've been told in other situations. I always encourage faculty to use course tools and go to, let's say, assignments. And if I wanted to grade an assignment, I would do it from here. So in assignments, it's view submissions. And I would click on the first one. And then this screen, it allows you to go through the different ones. So the student didn't submit an assignment, so I could put the 0 in there. I might put a note that says no assignment submitted. I could save it as a draft if I didn't want to share it with students right away, or I could publish it and that would go into the gradebook for the student.
Okay, so Carrie, we are at time.
Okay.
So we do have a session tomorrow at 3 p.m. Called Making Friends with Your Gradebook. And during that, we will talk about grading in more detail. So you're welcome to attend that, or as Carrie said, we're always happy to see people at our office hours because otherwise we're just twiddling our thumbs. So thank you all for attending. Thank you, Carrie, for guiding it. And any last words?
Oh, no, if you have any course specific information that you need and you can't attend the office hours, you can do the help@oswego.edu and just say that you need Brightspace support. And we'll either let you know when the office hours are, or we can also meet outside of that through Zoom. But the Zoom office hours, I do like to share that we use breakout rooms so that you do get one-on-one. So, Doug might be in charge for that day, but if he has somebody come in, he would call me to come in to, cover the rest of office hours so that you can work without interruption to, through any issues. So it's not like you do get one-on-one assistance during that time. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Everyone have a great day.